and it looks like this. Okay, so it's given to you, and it's got three functions in it. They're already written for you. That's one function, that's another function, and that's another function. Again, they're given to you. You're not supposed to change this file or the functions, because you actually don't use the file directly. What you should do is just to copy the whole thing, okay, and then put it inside of your own file, similar to what I have here. So I just copied it and pasted here. And now the program you write, for example, for program 1, the program, your main program starts, let's say here, for example, let's say on line 30. That's where you start writing your program. But do not touch, do not change anything here. Okay, so today's lesson, you're supposed to use or call the functions. Let me make allow record for a couple of people that came in afterwards. Any ones that I haven't made allowed record, and if you want it, let me know. Okay, so yeah, what you're supposed to do is to use the functions or call the functions. Okay. Here again, we're telling you do not modify the functions. Think of it this way. You know, with having two sections, I don't quite remember what I said in one section and not said in the other section. So if I said it, I'll say it again. When you're working in a team, the members of different teams of the team, different members of the team could be in different countries. For example, a couple other people coming. For example, when you think of computer games, when you play computer games, for example, Xbox or PlayStation, I'm sure at the end of the game, you've seen the names keep scrolling up, similar to end of a movie. The name that they're called credits keep scrolling up, and the names of different people in the team. Now, these different people are often in different countries. One is in Latvia, one is in Japan, one is in Malaysia, one is in, I don't know, Singapore, whatever, all over the place. Each one has a job or jobs. And so different functions are created by different people. Then those functions are taken, put together, and used. So similarly, think, for example, as one thing, think that Dr. Hoda created that one as an example. Okay, and maybe Dr. Safe created this one, and then maybe I created this one. All right, nobody knows what's happening I mean, right now we see it, but nobody knows what's happening inside each function. Okay, this part, nobody knows anything about it. What we know is that the name of the function is this, and that this particular function, for example, it receives one thing. So that's all we know. The name and what it receives. We also know if the function returns something. So in this case, it returns a value. In this case, it returns a value. But we don't know about this part, for example, how it's done. All right, so when you do have a team or teams working in different countries and different people create different things, then you need to put them together. And this putting together, the main part of the program happens at this point. So it's here where you write your program. Right now, you have this problem to solve. You're supposed to ask for the name of a customer and then send this name to this function. Send this name to the function. The function does the job and then it comes back. And then of course you ask for the name of the customer again. In this case, it says ask name of 4 people. In other words, you have a counted loop. Okay, so how do we do that? We need to ask the user for a name. Actually, all of it is, you see, it's all of it is inside the loop, right? It's 4 times inside the loop. So in other words, create the loop counter. Loop counter less than 4. As you know, what do we do with our loop counter? I don't hear anything. Can you hear me? I don't hear anything from like any kind of feedback from you.
No, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Why does the argument need to be converted to a string? Isn't the string already? Which argument are we talking about? And where is it converted into a string? Oh, here, yeah, actually, that's a good question, but let me get to it. I see what you mean in the print statement. Okay, that's a good question, but I'll get back to you in a minute. Yeah, I'll get back to you in a minute. In fact, that was my question from students when I taught it in my last section. Nobody noticed it, but I wanted people to think about it and tell me why.
So are you talking about line
And
26?
well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
So Zainab is asking, why is it that here we're switching it to string? And she says, isn't it a string already? First, two things. As I just told you a couple minutes ago, you're not supposed to know anything about these 2 lines. Okay. So whenever of course, when you create it yourself, of course, you know about it. And as the developer, you do. But when you're using function, for example, let's think about square root. You've used the function square root. All you've done at some point is to say, for example, math dot square root, and then you send something to it. That's all you know. But how it's done inside, the way it was created, you don't know how it's done. It could be done 2 or 3 different ways. Okay. Same way, when you have a function, supposedly, unless of course you created it, you don't know what's happening inside. Now, separately, why is it that it's a string? Can anyone tell us? Before I go on, this is our basic counted loop. Can anyone else tell us why it's a string? Why we switch it to a string?
because we're adding strings together. Happy birthday dear is a string, and we're going to add.
But supposedly what she's saying is this name is supposed to be a string. So let's take a look at the code here. So that's our counted loop. Once you see the rest of the code, you'll understand what I mean or what she means. You have a counted loop. Now in the loop, you're asking for, and this is supposed to be here, you're asking for the name. And I want different variable names so you understand the difference. So username, and you're saying name of customer. Let's call this customer. All right, so now what do? We need to call the function. How do we call the function?
Print.
Say again.
You have to use print.
Print. What does print do?
Inside the print, we're going to use the function name inside, and in the function brackets, we have to give the variable customer.
But why do you have to put it inside print?
Because
the function itself does.
Oh, sorry.
But the function itself is doing the output. There, this particular function does the print.
We just
exactly. It doesn't have a return statement. So Zainab is exactly right. You just say the name. In other words, and I prefer, if we have a choice like now, I prefer to copy it so we don't make a spelling mistake. And then send exactly, customer. Yeah. So this is it. This is our program. That's all. In other words, this is the main part of the program. So let me grab a different annotation here. So that is one function. All right, that's one other function. And that is another function. All right. So when you see that, and the orange is our main program. So that's the main program. All right. So when you run it, when you run this code, what's the first line that gets executed?
Input technically.
Input, as in line 31.
I mean, technically, first execution should be like reading the definitions or the functions. Then it's gonna store 0 in the variable loop counter. Then start the loop.
Okay, let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. If you were to trace this program, what is the first line that you write in the trace table?
Line 9 import math.
Anyone else?
The
And I could see Charles said not line 9. Zainab says line 31. Abdullah Bashir is correct. He says line 29.
define execution.
Yeah, so when you execute, it's the first line of the main part. And I just drew these boxes here. The main part is this. That's the first line that gets executed.
But I said it was stored in the variable loop counter. Said nothing. Sad.
I heard, the only thing I heard was in my ears was input.
Then input.
Was
I
it
said
you?
that.
Well, even then it's after loop counter, then it's the while loop.
Yes. The
Yeah.
storage
So
of the
line
value.
29, right. So line 29 in any case is the first line that gets executed. And then let me grab another annotation, different color, green. Okay, so first line that gets executed is here, line 29, then followed by line 30, followed by line 31. Once you get that, you go line 32. And so what happens at this point, you get transported right over there. Okay. And then the value of customer, whatever it is, the value of customer, it gets sent over there. All right. And then you go inside, these two lines get printed. And then when it finishes, let's grab a different color, maybe red. Oops, maybe red. And when it finishes at this point, for example, you get sent back to where it was called from. Okay, and it's to the end of that place where it was called from. In other words, it gets sent back right here. Or you could say it replaces this entire thing. It replaces that. But in this case, there is no return statement. So it just comes back to where it was called from, which is here, and then continues the next line. Next line is just increment, you go up, and the same thing happens over and over again. Now, to go back to Zainab's question, will this come in tracing? What do you mean?
Will there be a tracing quotient like this?
In where?
In the tests, upcoming tests.
That's a possibility.
because you said before, like in the future there won't be any tracing questions anymore.
Precisely,
So
precisely. That is what I said. Well, having said that, in the final, I don't know whether other instructors would prefer to have tracing. So it's not just based on my decision. So we have a committee for this. And so it's possible that they might decide, well, let's have a tracing question. And if we do, then yes, this could very well come in tracing. The point is still, you need to know it. As a software student, you need to know how the program gets executed. All right, so let's go back to, or get back to Zainab's question. Why is it that, let me take away all these annotations so it's clear. And get back to Zainab's question. Why is it that at this point we're saying this SDR? Can anyone tell us? So we ask you for the name, and let's say, for example, the person says Abdullah. Okay, so this is this point, Abdullah, and then this becomes Abdullah, and you're saying happy birthday, Abdullah. So we're coming here, and this is Abdullah, and we say happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Abdullah, happy birthday to you. And so here it's already Abdullah. Yeah, but you know that if you're adding strings, if it's a string, you don't need to say STR. Yeah, so Asif, if we know that this is a string for sure, okay, then you don't need to say this. This should work. That should work.
now we're converting into string.
Yeah,
Just
but it already, we know that it's supposed to be a string, right?
Maybe
All right,
when
so there is a,
it's stored on the diff, it could change.
yeah, well, let's put it this way. It is possible that it's not a string. See, in different programming language, let's say, for example, in Java, when you receive something like here where I am at this point, when you're the parameter of your functions, which in Java they're called methods, but it's the same thing. The parameter also has the type of parameter that it is. So, for example, name, it would say something similar to this, str name. Okay, and if you have two, for example, if you have age also, you might say something like this. So you'd say the type and then the variable name, the type and then the variable name. But in Python, it's called a non-type language. So the first time you store something in it, that's what it becomes. And if you store something different in it, again, that's what it becomes. So here we don't have what kind of a thing is name. So somebody could call happy birthday and could send a number here. All right, and if that's the case, if this is not set to str, it might crash. Of course, one other way of fixing it is one other way is to just make this into a comma, right? We've seen that before. So that's another way of doing it. Okay. So that's the reason, Zaina. All right, so for question one, this is it. This is what you do. This is a program. search create, and you just call the function. It receives one thing and it gives you back nothing. That's why here, before it, there is nothing. Now, when you call a function that gives you, like here, gives you something, it's a return statement, then you have to grab it and do something with it, with whatever it gives you. Which means when we get to question 2, no, this is still similar. No, it's similar except that you need to put it inside of a sentinel loop. So you change the counter loop to a sentinel loop for question 2, program 2. Now for question 3, the reason I'm going a little fast, I'll let you work on it later, is that again, we only have, what, maybe a little more than 15 minutes. I want to make sure I talk about these things so you know how to do things. Of course, I'm still going to be here for the next 15 minutes, but I want to talk about them and then you work on. For question 3, let me grab another annotation. Okay, red is, no, purple, pink. All right. Hopefully many of you have had physics before, science courses. Is that right? Hopefully all of you have had physics and or science courses. Yes, Asif, so that's a good thing. Well, you don't need to use power. I mean, this, if you're referring to this part, you don't need to do that. The formula is given to you, but if you take a look here, it's already done for you there, this part. Okay, so in this case, we're just saying this multiplied by this. But yeah, you don't need to do that. You're supposed to just call it, not actually do this. Let me clear again. So on the left side, as you could see, it's a cannon, and this degree between, see this edge of the cannon here, this degree, this angle, and here's the ground. Horizontal is the ground. This degree is theta, and that determines how far your cannonball will go. All right. Now, the degrees needs to be changed. So this theta is supposed to be in radians, and we're not used to radians. We like degrees, right? So when you say, for example, 45 degrees, you need to change it to radian. Again, you don't need to change it. It's done in the program, and that's this first line here, this part, which is why this math library needs to be imported. And then you say math.radians and give it the degree, for example, 45 degree. And then it gives you the angle. This time it's in radian. Now you use that, and there is the calculation for that, the cosine and the sine of that angle multiplied by 860 twice, multiplied by 2, and that would be your total distance. But this is only for curiosity. You don't really need to do that. The only thing you do need to know is this name, and that it receives just one thing, and that's a degree, angle in degrees. All right, so therefore you end up with here Therefore, you end up with that. So you ask the user to enter the angle. They say something like 45 degrees. You call this, and it gives you this number. You take that number and print it out.
Sir, right.
9.8, it's just not, the 9.8 is just not visible. It's outside on my screen. But you already have it in the file, the file called all functions. There you see here. The file all functions is on D2L. You need to download it so you can copy and paste this code. And there is the 9.8 here. Arrow is my mouse is. It would be more than 2 decimal points. It will be point, let's say 3986575, whatever. It's more than 2. So when you receive it back, you receive this number back. Then this time you need to call this other function, this one, and send this new value, the big value, and it will give you back the same value, but only with 2 decimal points. So first you need to call this function, and it gives you some value. Then you call this function with that, and it gives you a new value. That's the one you use in your print statement. Because answer to Taha, because it's just simpler to do this. You don't need to do that. I mean, if you want to do it, that's fine. The point is, all of these are multiplied by each other. Where are we? All the top parts are multiplied by each other. Okay, so whether you do it first, this divide by that, and then multiply the rest of them by it, it's the same result really. Anything that gets multiplied is multiplied by the denominator, and then everything else divided by the denominator. I think this is written this way just for ease of understanding, because not all people in math are at the same level of understanding math. So it's just written this way to make it easier to understand. All right, so after you do number 3, then program 4 is almost the same. It's practically the same, except that you're not asking for this angle from the user. Instead, so for program 4, instead you start with 10 as your first number. Okay, go in a counted loop, and you want to go from 10 until 90. So you go in a loop, and each time you add 10 to it. 10, then 20, then 30, and whatever, until you get to 90. Each time in the loop, you call the first function, okay, get the answer, then call the second function, get the rounded value, and then print it out like so. So this is the the number that you have at the moment. Let's call it degree, for example. So you print that degree followed by the word degrees equal, followed by the result coming back from this second function. And then you go in the loop again and you get the next number and next number. And then you end up with this table. Now, when you do that, you start realizing that the lower the number is, of course, it goes less, but quite interesting result. Look at the first one is 10 degrees. So the angle is kind of like, here's the horizon, here is the ground. 10 degrees very low, it's kind of like this. So that's the angle of your gun. And then it goes 25,000 meters, almost 26 kilometers. But if you look at 80 degrees, which is almost, so not exactly straight, but maybe here, if you put the gun at this angle, it also goes exactly the same distance. And that the best angle is 45 degrees. That would be the optimal angle to go the furthest.
I think 0 degrees will also go the maximum.
Did you say 0 degrees? As in
Yeah.
Straight down?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we could try it and see what it says. I don't remember. Yeah, I think 86 is asking 86. Asif is asking what's 860. Yeah, I wonder if it's the initial velocity. I'm not sure. Yeah, because obviously there are other functions, there are other forces at play here. We're just all we're interested in right now is just to use this formula. Other forces at play, for example, is the amount of gunpowder that you use behind the cannonball. So obviously, the more gunpowder you use, the more force it exerts, and some other forces. Why does the comma work for input? Yeah, it doesn't. Comma doesn't work for input. You have to use plus str if you have to use it in there. I thought most people knew that by now. Okay, so who is done question 4 now, by now? As we're getting close to the end of our class, I want to see if anyone has done number 4. Can you share your screen with us? I'll stop sharing mine. So let me see, let me look at the names here in the participants. Ahmed Shah, have you by any chance finished question 4? Do you want to show it on the screen with us? What about Amna? Amna Salim? Is it Salim or Salam?
Still working on it. Salim, I'm still working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Hamdan? You want to show us the screen, Hamdan? Not yet. 2 minutes. Okay. What about Adnan? Any luck there? It's, I think, if I remember right, program 4 is only like 4 lines. Yeah, you. Actually, it's very similar to what we just did. Yeah, count the loop. We call that 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 6, 5 or 6 lines. Yeah, but that's what you mean at Taha. Yeah, but that cannon, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't have any cannonballs. It's just a sound. It's just empty gunpowder. All right, so anyone else? What about, I don't know, Donald? Ron? Yeah, Amna, you want to share something?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so show us.
Yeah, just a second. Mhm.
All right, so over there. Yeah, that's it. Oh, okay, you put that the rounding inside of the print statement. Yeah, that's fine. That's good. So yeah, as you can see here, it's just a counting loop that Amna has. Starts with 10, and then you go every 10, and each time you have a degree, you call the function. The function gives you back a result. You send that result back to the second function, and it gives you back its own result, and you print it out. And yeah, this is good. This is it. Thank you, Amna.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, people. So this brings us to the end of our class. I guess I'll see you tomorrow. And then if we have the time next week, we could take a look at the test questions or some of them. All right. Have a good day now.
Sir, I'm
Yep.
getting for 90 degrees, 9 to the power e, sorry, 9 multiplied by e to the power negative 12.
Why?
No.
It's, well, you're supposed to only call the function. So
I did.
if you call the function, it should give you 0 as far as I know. So let's see the code. It's fine at that. I noticed already everybody's here, so I don't need to do attendance. All right, so here's that.
I just did it here. I also did 100 degrees, but
No.
yes.
No, I'm just looking at the first part of the code to make sure that nothing has changed in the functions.
No, it's not.
No,
I
they're
didn't
fine.
change anything.
While counter is less than 100.
I
and
can
you're
make
doing every 10. What's that? Oh yeah, it's degree. And you're not calling the round function. You could put the round function around the cannonball distance.
like
So if you go up one line.
like here. Sir?
Yeah, hang on. Yeah, that. Hang on. I'm just talking to another gentleman here. Yeah, those are yours. Hang on. That's it. And I'll be there in a couple minutes. Okay, so back to you guys on Zoom. Yeah, here you could write. Go back one.
Right here.
Where is cannonball? No, go up. I mean, in to the right. Go one. No, to the right. One character. Yeah, that's it.
Now
Type round.
brackets, right?
Result with capital R result. There's
Sorry.
result. Open paren.
I just put it here. This?
Yeah, comma. No. Okay, go back one. Go back one. Yeah, comma. No, wait. Yeah, you only receive the value. No, take away the comma. Sorry, and yeah, replace the comma with a bracket, close bracket. Yeah,
Yeah.
the way you had it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's fine. Now, other than that, it should be fine. It looks fine.
Okay, now it's fine.
Yeah.
I forgot about
Okay,
the round value.
I have to run, people. Catch you another time. Take care. Bye.
Sir.